Hello, 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 beauties. Welcome to the Worthy Women Movement interview series. And today we have the wonderful Jo Goddard, who is one of the incredible authors from Rising into Greatness. And we're going to talk about Jo's chapter. But welcome, Jo. I am so
Hi.
proud of you and congratulations. You are a published author.
Woohoo! It's so exciting.
It's so exciting. And I can't wait for you to get your book in your hand. So, I suppose the first question I want to do, besides congratulate you and how proud I am of your chapter, because it is very, in my opinion, and all the readers will have their own opinion, it is extremely powerfully thought provoking and inspiring. So, well done to you and congratulations. I'm very,
Thank
very
you.
proud of you and proud that you're in this book as well. So I suppose my first question to you is, why did you decide to write a chapter in Rising into Greatness?
Well, you put the invitation out in May, which is my birthday month. So that's the month I say yes to all the big things anyway. But I really felt a pull this year to not just take my message and what I advocate for, one-on-one spaces with clients, but actually increase the visibility and lean into the opportunities to be seen and heard. Um, yeah, and I guess because I advocate for that so much for the women who work with me, we got to dance on those edges ourselves, right? So it
Yeah.
was a big catalyst for me going to the next edge of being seen and heard. And as predicted, the ripple effect then, for the women I work with and the people that are coming towards me are people ready to go to the next level to be seen and heard. So,
Yes, yes.
yeah, it was about me sharing my story in a way that I hadn't. And also, it's very much a tool then for my business as someone who works with women to have something for them to take away, read, be inspired by, not just my story, but obviously all the authors in the book as well. So yeah, it's a beautiful resource to not only be part of, but to have to pass on.
Yeah. And I love the way that you said dance on those edges. And I'm a really big believer too, in that we can't teach what we don't do. To me, it's very authentic if we're actually doing the work on ourselves. And I love the fact that you talk about increasing your visibility, because when you made that decision, I have witnessed, like, it is that collective energy when you come into these programs of rising into your greatness, right? It just organically happens. And I've witnessed that with you and all the authors. But with you and your visibility, you've been getting speaking gigs and you've been out there a bit more. And that's been incredible to witness. So, and that's like music to my ears from, because part of the Worthy Women Movement's mission is to help women to become more visible and creative, right? So it was just obviously divine timing, I think, for you too. So that's incredible. And I hope that you continue, now that you've sort of started this journey, to continue to expand that visibility and with your speaking, because Jo is also one of the VIPs in this program, in the Rising into Greatness program, and she's going to be speaking on stage at the State Library of New South Wales on the 30th of November. So I'm really looking forward to that too, Jo, because you have this incredible wisdom to share and incredible story. So, and I believe, reading your story again, I remember how incredible it was. And then I read it again, I'm going, and I'm not just saying this, it is really a very powerful message. And we're going to talk about some of those messages over the next 20 minutes or so. So talking about that, let's talk about your chapter. And it's called Embodying Joy, but JOY, which stands for the journey of you. So tell me about your chapter. I've told you that I think it's provoking and it's inspiring and it's powerful, but I want to hear it from you as the author. Tell me about your chapter.
Yeah, so I guess the real key in that is that I see joy as the journey of you. And while it's a personal share around how I went through different experiences, to not only look at and celebrate and find the blessings in the good moments of my story, but also reflect on some of the challenges and what have those challenges actually gifted me about myself, like, how have they actually been powerful catalysts for self-awareness? How have they been incredible teachers in my life? And so as I reflected on my journey, as I was looking at everything only from the perspective of looking for the lessons, I no longer observed it as good, bad, positive, negative. It just became life lessons, life journeys, and it all brought incredible self-awareness. And so to really land in me, to really land in the experience of who I am, what I feel I'm here for, and how I can ripple my magic out into the world, I had to embrace everything that I stand for. So to stand for joy is to stand for the journey of you, to look at everything as an observer, and to to really take everything for the lessons that it gives you. And I learned a lot of lessons, and the chapter will outline 5 or so of those really key moments of clarity that I landed on. And these are key clarity lessons that I gift forward through everything that I do. And I've now put them into the chapter to be able to gift them forward in a different and wider way. So yeah, that's
And I love your key moments of clarity lessons. I mean, they're really, you have to read the book. If you're listening to this, you've got to get hold of this book. And in this case, we're talking about Jo's chapter, but so much that other women particularly, and maybe guys too, but like in this case, perhaps you mainly do, your clientele is mainly women over 35. And in actual fact, I didn't read your bio at the very start, because we sort of, I get into the moment, but I actually do want to read your bio so that the people listening to this understand the very valuable work that you're doing. And then we're going to go back to the chapter. So Jo Goddard is a Brisbane-based Reiki master, a Kahuna body worker, a yoni massage therapist, and sensuality and pleasure mentor for women aged 35 plus. Having traveled the complexities of sexual and medical abuse, body image issues, marriage separation, and learning to use these moments to catapult into deeper self-acceptance and sensual empowerment, Jo has mastered joy in her life as the all-encompassing process of honoring the journey of you, in brackets, joy. She is now on a mission to awaken 1 million joy huntresses all over the globe, reminding women they are beautiful, feminine, and powerful, just as they are, and reawakening them to the pleasure and sensual energy that moves through them, regardless of age, size, shape, or circumstance. And I've actually, I went through your chapter again, and I there's some quotes that I wanted to discuss, but that one is such a powerful one. You actually finished with that, but I've just sort of said it in your bio. Being essential, and this is one of what you say at the very end of your chapter as well, which is so powerful. Being a sensual woman living aligned with pleasure and desire has no relevance to your size, your shape, your weight, your skin tone, your hair coloring, or anything. And isn't that such a beautiful message to a lot of women out there who actually think they have to be a certain age, a certain size, a certain this, a certain that, but it's not about that, is it?
No. I've often my measure, I mean, I touch on it in the book as well, how I measure what's true for you is to measure how vulnerable it makes you feel, because that's an extension of the heart communicating through the body. And I also look at, if something looks like it's dividing me from separating me from something else, that's actually where I don't put my time and energy, because truth doesn't exist in separation and division. It exists in unity and collective coming together. So if I'm looking at things like, even if it's about my body image, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that because I'm not this and I'm not that. If I'm feeling separated from something, that's actually the false. That's the lie.
Yes.
Pivot to where I feel a sense of unity and connection.
I love that, a sense of unity and connection, and it's so true. And the heart communicating through the body. you know, it's all about really that's the crux, I think, of so much. We overcomplicate life. If we just came back to our hearts, life is so much more simple. Life is so much more joyful. Life is so much more blissful and peaceful when we come back to our hearts. And so many of us, and more so than others, are you know, operating from up here rather than from here. And it's the heart communicating through the body, which transpires into everything, really, our whole being, our soul. So I love the way you express that. So tell us how you found yourself in absolute clarity, because a big theme of your chapter is about clarity, right? And when we clarity is power. It really is. And I know that's a sort of a bit of a cliche, but it's so true. Clarity is power. But how did you find yourself in absolute clarity? What was your process?
Oh gosh. You know what? I don't even know if I would say I've ever landed in absolute clarity, because I feel like it's a constant moving piece. Like there's
Oh,
no
yeah.
full stop. It's a semicolon, because it's like, what
Yeah.
next?
Yeah.
But I guess some of this is just a natural who I am. But I got to the point of, I'm trying to think how I can put this. I had an experience maybe 2 or 3 years ago where, just through a moment of shutting down the world outside me, I was in the bath, I had the candles going, music going, may have been reading, I don't know, but I was so present with myself and enjoying that moment. And it just hit me that I remembered who I was. I remembered what felt good to me. I remembered I deserved my own time and attention. And it was like this moment happened that all of this remembering returned to me. At the same time, all of this awareness of how I had been compromising, quitting on myself, not prioritizing myself, it all landed in this moment. And I made a promise to myself that I would never unwitness what I just witnessed move through me. I would never again forget that I deserved. And that became a really strong commitment to myself. I think when we have these moments of epiphany, even if we don't necessarily speak them out loud, it's like we are saying them to the universe in some way, shape, or form. And then things begin to conspire to make that manifest.
Absolutely.
And at this point in my life, I'd already walked the journey of my Reiki master teacher training. I'd already become Kahuna body worker. I'd done a lot of personal development. So I had evidence that I can be comfortable in the discomfort. And I had increased my capacity to not only walk really excited about new opportunities, but I could also hold myself and remind myself I'm okay as other things shift, change, pivot, fall away. So with that commitment to myself and the never forgetting again commitment, I allowed what needed to crumble. I turned and actually looked at the things that were uncomfortable. I had the big conversations with people that I needed to have in my life.
Takes a lot of courage too.
It does. And I learned that the more willing I was to face into the uncomfortable, the more quantum leaping I could do to get to where I actually was calling myself into. And all these clarity lessons are the summary of that, of what I had to learn and face and move through. And I did it at rapid speed. Like a lot of these lessons, while I have walked them many times before, I didn't see them as the lessons and learning until I met them and I actually went into the discomfort and I moved through them. So the real encompassment of these absolute clarity, as you mentioned before, it's probably only landed in the last 2 years when I was like, This is what
Yeah,
I need to learn. This is how I stop the cycle. This is how I
definitely.
keep myself at the forefront of everything that I do, be, have, and I move forward. And these lessons are I guess they're the pinpoints, right? Then these lessons have come through when I was actually ready to break the cycles, to break the patterns, and then I
Yeah,
landed in this clarity.
yeah. I love that. Break the patterns and break the cycle, which is what a lot of people aren't prepared to do. And I love the fact that you say comfortable in discomfort. And it's sort of like, it's an interesting, you know, and you can perceive that however you want to perceive it. But I love the way you phrased it, because it's like, if we want to grow and expand and really become and really rise further into our greatness, we do need to have those uncomfortable moments. It's inevitable. If we stay in our comfort zones completely, we're not rising into our greatness. So I love the way you said that. And I really particularly love this. And this sort of, I think this, that every person, including, I mean, I'll say every woman, but even every guy, I remembered who I was.
Mm.
I remembered who I was. Such simplicity in that, but such power.
Yeah.
And that's where you're able to really commit to yourself as well. It is a commitment. This, you know, this journey of life, like we need to commit to becoming our best version, to rising into our greatness. If there's no commitment, then it's not going to happen. We're just going to stay in our comfort zone, and we're not going to expand and really uncover all this greatness that each one of us has within, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So I love one of your mantras. I deserve pleasure daily. And yes, you
Mhm.
do. And anyone listening to this, you deserve pleasure daily. But look, you know, let's talk about that. Like, what does that mean for you? In your book, in your chapter, you outline it so beautifully. But just sort of in a little summary,
Yeah.
what does that mean to you? And how does it? And let's start with you. And then even if you want to give an example of one of the clients that you may have worked with as well in the past, where
Mhm.
that's helped them to really step into who they truly are as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, the everyday I deserve pleasure mantra was, I guess, an extension of that commitment to myself,
Mm,
to keep choosing me, to keep learning me. And I wanted to end each day knowing that I could happily reflect on a moment in the day that felt good. It was a me choosing me moment.
mm,
Um,
mm,
and I'm a mum of 3 young kids, and at the time I was married and, a fly in, fly out relationship, and felt very alone and isolated,
good.
from friendship circles, because I had my kids a lot earlier than my friends had theirs, and also trying to do my own small business, which, as you know, if you're entrepreneurial, can be really quite lonely and isolating.
Yes.
So I just wanted to find one moment in every day where I was like, yes, that was it. And if I got to the end of my day and I was in the shower and I couldn't pinpoint that moment, I didn't leave the shower until I had either made a promise of what I was doing immediately after, or I was finding pleasure in the shower. And by that, I mean really finding stillness, centering, noticing the shower dripping over my skin. I
Mm,
might dance. I used to have this little routine where I'd try and like dance and move and sway around the water so it wouldn't touch me. So I was getting my body moving, and I was exploring how it bent
I love
and
that.
it flowed. Um, and then sometimes it was like, nope, out of the shower, you need to journal or whatever it was, have a
Yeah.
cacao.
Yeah.
So
Wonderful.
every day when I laid my head on the pillow, I had seen and witnessed the commitment I made manifest in my day. I could see the
Yes.
action,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then once you start to find it daily, curiosity says, well, how about every hour? How about every
Mm,
moment? Or how many moments can you make to happen today, right?
yeah.
And it's just this constant action piece of how often are you choosing you in your day? And
awesome. Yes.
yeah, and pleasure is not something that's compartmentalized into a sensual or sexual experience. It is your entire existence is pleasure. Your mum and your dad made you out of a really intense moment of pleasure. Your energetic frequency was created from this powerful combination of pleasure and obviously, yes, sensual sexual energy in that circumstance, but you are a pleasure creatrix. You are here to have the extension of you made manifest in your life through all the ways in which you bring yourself joy, because you're seeing it reflected to you through all these pleasure moments. And I pleasure stack. So what did I do with my clients who are like, you want me to choose me over the kids, over making dinner, over work? And I'm like, well, how about you don't put this as one more thing to do. Instead, take everything that you do and turn it into a slightly more pleasurable experience. So if you're folding laundry, put on your favorite music and dance while you're folding laundry. If you know that you only get a 10-minute cup of tea break before you have to run the kids to school, where in your house or on your property do you want to take that 10 minutes? Like, where does the sun shine in and make you feel more alive? Right? If you know that it's going to be on your couch, have you got your soft, minky blanket that you love to be connected to when you're in that 10 minutes of me time? You know, if you love baths, but you only make time for showers, could tonight you have a bath instead? You're still cleaning yourself. Like, how can you take what you do and make it an extension of you? And what you tends to happen is, instead of roles and responsibilities leading the way and giving us a false sense of identity because of the shoulda, woulda conditions around what are, you know, different roles and responsibilities, how they should play out, what we are is we actually are in the doing of the roles and the responsibilities, but we are the us in them. So we're actually, the identity piece leads first, and it goes into the role of mother, of colleague, of spouse, rather than all these things leading first and us getting lost in the process.
Yeah, beautiful. And it's like, you know, I love cooking, but sometimes it can feel like a bit of a drag. It's like, what am I going to cook for dinner tonight? So the music goes on and I dance around my kitchen, and it all of a sudden you are in those moments of joy and not in, oh my goodness, or, you know, not the drudgery of the task that you need to do. So I love all those concepts. And I love the fact that you said, how often are you choosing you throughout the day? So if you're listening to this, how often are you choosing you throughout the day? And it's really about having a really honest discussion with yourself about this, because this is your life. Like, you know, everyone's life is precious. You are precious. So, you know, how many times are you choosing you? It's so important. I deserve pleasure daily. And yes, I do. And so do you. And so does everybody listening to this. I love
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm really big into pleasure and bliss and joy. So it really sits so beautifully with me. And I think that it doesn't always sit as comfortably with some women. And that's where we need that. They need our support and they need that guidance to say, hey, it's okay. You deserve this. You deserve pleasure on a daily basis. And it's not about just sexual pleasure is one of many forms of pleasure, right? Like, I get pleasure out of eating beautiful food and smelling beautiful flowers and sitting in the sunshine. Like, there's so many moments through the day where we can choose that joy. And another quote that I absolutely, that I really resonate with and I love is, I no longer wanted to choose mediocrity in any areas of my life. So, and I know through my own journey and so many other women that I've worked with as well, why did we choose mediocrity? Like, I don't anymore, but so many of us get into that pattern. So what did you change? I mean, you've spoken a lot about it, but just in regards to what was mediocre and what became magnificent for you?
I think when I was leading my life through what you should be doing, you know, I I mean, I could go right back, but finished high school, went to university, started a long-term relationship, bought a house, got married, had 3 kids, wound up so lost in myself.
Yeah.
And one of the hardest realizations I had was I had everything I thought I wanted. I had the marriage, I had the kids, I had the house, I had the degree, I had everything that I was told success
Yeah.
should look like and
Yeah.
feel like. And I had it all, and it did not feel successful. It wasn't satisfying, truly satisfying any real part of me.
Yeah.
And when I had this moment that I shared earlier of really waking up to the space I should be occupying in my own life and actually starting to make that real and tangible and happening, that's when I went from mediocre to magnificent, because I was in a marriage with he's a great guy and he's a
Yeah.
fantastic dad, but he proposed out of well, we've been together this long and we've had this house together for a year, so it feels right, we should get married because I don't want to be an old dad and I want to be married before kids. Like, he had all this programming going on, and then he proposed to me, and I still remember being like, yes, but not actually feeling excited. The yes was
Uh-huh.
coming from a place of, yeah, okay, I guess this is what we do next.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, and hindsight has shown me that in the moment, I was like, yeah, this is the right decision. Right.
Yeah.
But when I got to this place of, no, choose you, like, don't ask permission for anybody, just choose you and go and make it happen. That marriage was one of the things that needed to change. And we had some really big, raw, uncomfortable conversations. And when I spoke about how my life, felt like it quantum leapt, one of those circumstances was ending a marriage and meeting the most amazing man, pretty much like at almost feels like it was at the same time,
Yeah.
right? But the reason why I attracted this new man and the reason why I'm in a most beautiful relationship now is because I wasn't no one else was making the decisions except me, wanting to lead a life that felt so truly aligned with who I am. And so if I was like, oh no, it's probably more socially acceptable to end a marriage and then, do nothing for 2 years. You got to meet everybody else's expectations. You don't want people judging you, blah, blah, blah. I don't care if you judge me. Like, that's a reflection of what you believe to be truth. It ain't my truth.
That's
So
right.
I got to let something go that wasn't serving me and step into something magnificent extremely quickly. And the people along for the ride with me are constantly getting a version of me that brings more magnificence into their life. Like, my children
Yes.
have a mum who's more deeply connected to herself. And it
Yes.
might look like mum and dad aren't married anymore, but it looks like mum and dad getting on really well. It looks like them deepening their relationship to dad and relationship to me in completely new ways. They get to see me completely lit up and in love. So when we face the uncomfortable, that's how we can change that mediocre into
Yes.
magnificence.
And it goes back to that quote which you said before, Joe, comfortable in the discomfort, because ending a marriage, that's uncomfortable. That is really uncomfortable. And you said you had those really raw conversations, and it's not a comfortable thing to do, but ultimately it brings you so much joy with the decision you made. And we do want to be good, if you are a mother and you're listening to this, we do want to be good role models for our children and for anyone else in our life. And when we're happy, like, happiness is contagious. Joy is contagious, but so is negativity, and so is feeling burdened and, feeling like you have to do the right thing, or feeling like, you're going to be judged or criticized and worrying about what other people think. It's one of the biggest blockers of joy. It's so freeing when we stop doing that. But look, all in all, I just am very proud of you, like I said at the very start of this interview, Jo, and I think that you have a lot of you're doing incredible work and helping women to really, really embrace their pleasure and their joy, which is so important if we want to really rise into our greatness. And you have so many incredible wisdom and tips on how, over the clarity, theme as well, and just so much goodness in your chapter. So if you're listening to this, you need to read this chapter, Embodying Joy or Journey of You by Jodanna. You've used your full name in this book, Jodanna Goddard.
Yes,
Beautiful.
I thought I'd grow up and use my proper name.
So you can get yourself a copy of this gorgeous book. We're officially releasing it at the State Library of New South Wales on the 30th of November. Like I said before, Jo's also going to be on the stage doing a signature talk as well. And then on the Tuesday, the 3rd of December, you can get the ebook version on sale. But yes, and then of course you can contact Jo if you're a friend or a client of Jo's or family member. You can contact Jo for your own personalized signed copy of Rising into Greatness. So I just want to finish off by saying a beautiful thing that you just said before. Choose you, and go and make it happen. Thank you so much, Jo.
My pleasure. Thank you.